Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Darcinovia here. I am back with another review. I was tempted to do these in 3 videos, but considering the fact that they're all pretty much short stories, that I figured it's more effective I just review all of the Star Wars Purge comics in one video. So I'm going to be talking about the individual issues one at a time, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. Now, the first Star Wars Purge, which is one a lot of people should be familiar with if you have read the Dark Horse, trade paperback back in the day, is the very first one. Now, this one was written by John Ostrander, and, well, what do I think of this particular one? It's the first. Well, I do enjoy the story. I thought it was really cool. I thought it had really good artwork. And this takes place close to, where Revenge of the Sith happened, so it's very early in Darth Vader's career. And in my opinion, has some of the most badass moments in Star Wars comic history. And if you've read this comic, a lot of those who've read this know what I'm talking about, just how badass this is. Darth Vader nearly kills all the Jedi. And yes. And the artwork is great for this particular one. In my opinion, this one is probably my favorite. Because it looks the most like what I would imagine, how Darth Vader should look in this era in general. And not to mention, well, let us say this also shows just how smart Darth Vader is, and he isn't as weak as a lot of EU haters like to say he is. Even if this is a very short story and it doesn't, have that much to it in terms of pages, I feel like it conveys the story and the visuals in a really good way. And it also shows us that Darth Vader, is still obsessed with hunting Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is very close to the events of Revenge of the Sith. Now, the second story, I think as a story, I think it's better, but the art is just not as good as the first one, even though the writer is done by John Ostrander. I really wish they would have gotten a better artist for the story. Anyway, the second story is primarily told from the perspective of the niece of Plo Koon. We get a brief story about her. I think it's a really good story, and well, you do get a glimpse of the future, at least in this story, that things are going to be all right, and it also gets to show you in all these stories that not everything goes well for Vader in these Purge comics. The first one, he almost dies. This one, he doesn't get the satisfaction of killing a Jedi who's in despair. That Plo Koon's niece dies in peace. The art is kind of meh, to be honest. I don't think it's that good. The artwork, in my opinion, I wish they would have gotten a better artist for this particular comic. But I think it's a pretty good story. Now, this particular one, I think is great. I think the artwork is probably, in my opinion, the best out of all of them. It literally looks like a painting, and even though there isn't as much dialogue in this particular one as there is in the other stories, I think this one's pretty damn great. I do like the story because this is one of Darth Vader's first failures. And I love the gorgeous artwork in here. And the thing I love about these stories, at least Star Wars Purge, at least the second and third one, Darth Vader isn't overpowered like he is in canon, where he does stupid shit that's doesn't make any sense. And I do like the fact that it explores Darth Vader's very first failure. And yeah, the artwork is amazing for this particular one. Now, for the last one in the Purge series, Tyrant's Fist, I think the artwork is pretty good for this one. This one deals with Darth Vader putting down a rebellion, and since this is the last of this, Darth Vader has to go use a different method in order to squash a rebellion this time, because unlike the other Darth Vader Purge stories, Darth Vader doesn't actually kill the Jedi in this story. And as a storyline, I think this one's the best. It shows the brutality of the Galactic Empire during, the early years of the Empire. And again, this is still very close to Revenge of the Sith. And I do like the fact that Darth Vader in this story uses strategy and not just brute strength to destroy his enemies like he would in canon. I think Darth Vader is very smart. So he takes the advice of Darth Sidious to use more than just fear in order to destroy his enemies. And this shows us, the Darth Vader that we see during the events of A New Hope. Even though this is still very early in Darth Vader's career, I still think it shows us a glimpse of what the future Vader would become. Even though this isn't as action-packed as the other ones, I still consider it the best of them. And, yeah, I think they could have milked Star Wars, Purge. They could have done, like, an insane amount of these. They could have done, like, an endless amount, and I think they would have sold. But I'm glad that they did these sparingly, and I'm glad they didn't do an endless amount of Star Wars Purge. If it was Marvel Star Wars that was in charge at the time, they probably would have done 100 Star Wars Purge. They probably would have turned Purge into its own series. Ugh, I just cringe thinking about it. Anyway, Star Wars Purge, I think, are really good short stories, and I think they're well worth the read. They're easy to find. I mean, again, you could easily find these in the first volume of the Marvel Epic Collection, or get them on Kindle. They're very easy, so you don't have to worry about getting something that's so obscure that you have to spend an insane amount of money on eBay in order to find it. So that's the thing about Star Wars Purge. I think they're good short stories, and if you're a Darth Vader fan, I think you would enjoy these. Even if you're currently reading canon, sorry for my criticisms towards the way canon handles Vader, I think you may enjoy these for extra Darth Vader content if you really want more. This is Darcenovia over and out, and, well, I'll see you next time with another review. Later.